Hello and welcome to another edition of In the Green. I'm Matthew Abel and my guest this segment is Mr. Erik Shelley. Welcome to the show, Erik.
Good to be here.
Thanks. Erik, we asked you to come on the show to speak about Green Party Radio. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, Green Party Radio is an internet radio station. I was with my local Michigan Green Party chapter, and they said we're interested in doing internet radio. So I looked into it and found a server called Live 365. And what this is a public server. Anybody can plunk down $5 and get themselves a little piece of the bandwidth and broadcast from there. So really what it serves as far as its purpose for the Green Party is as an audio website.
Okay, so it costs a whole $5. Now that kind of ties into our earlier segment about campaign finance reform. You can see what kind of big money the Green Party's putting into this kind of stuff to compete with, the Republicans and the Democrats. But
that's one of the advantages of this, is that it is very low cost and it gives us worldwide access instantaneously.
Absolutely, and just so people understand, it's called radio, but it's completely different from broadcast radio in that it's not broadcast through the airwaves at all, right?
Right. You won't be listening to this in the car on the ride home.
Okay. Although maybe someday it could be rebroadcast or satellite, and maybe there are links that are picked up or could be picked up by a station if they wanted to.
It is conceivable, but you're using very strange science when you get there. Let's start with the basics right now. Yes, you can use the internet to listen to our radio broadcast.
So it's a website.
Yes.
And there's streaming audio, meaning there are no pictures exactly.
Exactly.
It's just you're looking at what are you looking at if you have it set on?
Well, that's the funny thing, because it's still radio in the sense that you're just listening to it.
So you can surf the web,
you can surf the
read
web,
your email, and listen to this at the same time.
Exactly. And oddly enough, when I first started using this service, I tried to just go online. I have AOL at home. Went to 365, said, okay, I want to listen to the radio station now. I plunked down my $5, let's hear some music. And got to the site, and there was nothing there. You can't use an internet provider to get there. Little trick. You have to use Internet Explorer. And that's something that, I don't know if everybody uses this commonly, but typically when I'm on AOL, I'm on the web, I'm satisfied, I don't need to use it. But there's a small E with a satellite going around in the corner that is the Internet Explorer browser.
Right, so you can't use AOL's browser.
Yes, to go directly to the radio station.
Because AOL doesn't want competition from low-cost stations?
I'm not exactly certain the technical proclivities of this, but yes, you can't use AOL. However, if you use Internet Explorer, then while you're listening to Internet Explorer, the broadcast Internet Explorer, you can go back to AOL or MSN or whatever it is you're using.
Have two programs open at once.
Have the two running simultaneously. You can surf the web, check your mail. The broadcast does not interfere with your speed of getting your mail, and downloading something doesn't seem to interfere too severely with the streaming of audio.
No, I use Netscape instead of IE, Internet Explorer, because I try to avoid Microsoft products myself. And I'm a Mac user too, so I'm pretty well complete in that. But it's available through Netscape as well, and just not a proprietary service.
Exactly.
Okay. And how much content is on Green Party? Well, before we get there, we need the viewers to know how they can reach this station. You go to www.live365.com.
Right. Well, first, you have to use Internet Explorer.
Okay.
Because if
or Netscape.
Or Netscape, right. And then you go to live365.com.
All right.
And a long slew of radio stations will come up.
There will be a list. There are hundreds
of thousands. Like I said, any kid with $5 and a CD player can start their own radio station.
And they're all over the world.
And they're all over the world, exactly.
Right.
If you put Green Party into the search engine off to the right there, it'll call up all the radio stations that deal with the Green Party. Currently, there are two. And it seems odd. Right, both in Michigan, both sprang up within a month of each other, and we've only been on the air for 6 months. Right. My station and another one in Midland. And then you just take Green Party Radio, which is our station, and bang, you're listening.
Wow. Speaking of Midland, if there's a place that needs the Green Party, it's Midland. And if there's a place where you wouldn't expect to find it, it's Chemical Town, USA. But they really do need the Green Party up there. So how much content is on Live 365 now, and are you seeking more content, and what types?
Actually, that's the purpose of my being here. Right now, the program that we have is 1 hour of music, and if you want to listen, feel free. It's a neat little hour of Lenny Kravitz and Country Joe and the Fish and that sort of thing. So it's very eclectic. I didn't want to say, okay, we're a rock station, so you listen and you hear rock and you go, okay, all I'm going to ever hear on the station is rock and roll, or all I'm ever going to hear is blues. No, it's a little bit of everything. But the music is really more of a test pattern, just so people can log on and listen to it and start to understand the possibilities that the station possesses. Because yes, I am seeking others who want to voice their opinions, who want to go out and find messages that aren't getting out into the mainstream media, because so many stations are being merged into one large media conglomerate, and now there's one message being pounded out again and again and again. And anyone who has something different to say looks like an idiot, right? You become the village idiot because you have a different point of view, and that's not the way it always used to be.
Absolutely. So are you seeking, do you have the capability to do a live broadcast, or that's something down the road?
That's something down the road, yes.
But right now, you're seeking content, tapes, or CDs, or what format?
Here's the plan that I have for the station. My first goal is to put together a 1 hour news magazine. And I can't do this by myself. I just recently went to the forum held at the University of Detroit Mercy and recorded 4 hours of people speaking and giving their points of view. And when you take that much material and you broadcast it, I could just put out 4 hours of talking, but that's going to put people to sleep. Right. You really have to sit down, you have to edit it, you have to distill it, get the finer points of what people are trying to get across, because when you have a radio audience, there's nothing to look at.
And you really need to
lose their attention very quickly. Right? Exactly. So radio broadcasts gobble up material like a pit bull. It's a very hungry media. So I want to get together 1 hour broadcast that I can put together of news, interviews, of commentary, of perhaps some local music, expressing opinions of the green point of view, and be able to put that out as a package that once a month, like a magazine, you can go out to the bookstore and pick it up. You can listen to that 1 hour. And if you want to check it out again later that week, listen to it again, tell your friends about it, they can hear it, that'll be great. Once I have that 1 month, then I'd like to step it up, see if I can get enough people working on the staff that, okay, you'll work on the first week's broadcast, and we'll have a weekly broadcast, then a daily broadcast. But again, if we're going to do a daily broadcast, talking about live broadcasts, that requires considerable amount of manpower. It's going to require a considerable amount of programming. You have to have something to talk about that would make people want to tune in.
Well, I think there's no lack of issues, certainly. Green issues, environmental issues. And there's a lot going on in the environmental community in Michigan. But and I'm assuming you would have some environmental pieces on this station.
Absolutely.
Other things as well. Electoral things about campaign finance, for example, about, you name it, any issue, really.
Any issue. Nothing is off the table.
And so you're soliciting help. What types of assistance are you looking for?
Well, the outline that I have right now has directors. There's going to be a music director, a news director, a program director, a production director. The music director will be in charge of choosing songs that they feel are appropriate to the content of the station. The news director will solicit interviews and look for news stories like this forum that was just down in Detroit, or the protests against the Walmart in Portage. You can assign then a commentator to go there, cover the story, come back with the raw tape, edit it up, make a package that we can put into our magazine. A program director is going to decide, what kind of music we're going to play, what kind of news we're going to cover, how we're going to mix the two together. Okay. We'll need commentators, people who can just speak off the cuff, fill up some time to give the station a little bit of personality, to perhaps do a phone interview from time to time. Mm-hmm. We'll need, like I said, the journalists to go out and cover news stories, and a production director, because once all of this material has been gathered together, it's not like radio broadcast, you just put it on the air and bang, it whistles out over the air. Right. It has to be converted to an MP3 format.
All right.
Right, and then it needs to be uploaded onto the station.
Now, what if someone were to email you an MP3? Is that the ideal way for you to?
Yeah, because it doesn't have to take place in a physical space. Yes.
Right. Someone up in the Upper Peninsula, for example, could do a story on the copper mines and email it to you as an attachment.
They would become my Northern Michigan correspondent. Yes.
Right. So for the people up north, we're looking for people there as well. And there are issues and stories all over the Great Lakes state. Right. The Perrier issue, Ice Mountain in Mecosta, that's a continuing saga there.
Ice Mountain's a hot story.
It is. So if there are any viewers who are listening who are interested in submitting material for the Green Party Radio, we're interested in obtaining that. And Eric, how can they contact you?
The best way to contact me, yes,
on the website?
The best way to contact me is through greenpartyradio@aol.com.
greenpartyradio@aol.com.
Easy enough.
Okay, good. So you've been working on this for about 6 months, pretty much by yourself.
Yes,
right?
all by myself.
And you've been going around talking with people about this and trying to drum up some support. And do people appear interested?
They appear interested in the idea. You know, it's you ever play baseball when you're a kid?
Oh, sure.
Right? You say, you know, come on, let's go play baseball. You only need 18 people to play a game of baseball. Who else you got? Until you got 18 people, no one wants to play. So they seem to like the idea, but to actually get up and I'm having trouble finding a way to motivate them to get out there and actually do something.
Partly because they're not excited because there's not much content there, and the reason there's not much content is because people aren't really excited about
exactly. I need the other 17 people to get the ball game going.
Okay. Well, that's a good way to put it. And I think partly it's a matter of persistence and perseverance, that just sticking it out.
Sure. And the nice thing about Green Party Radio is that it runs 24 hours. So there isn't a special time that you have to be there to get your show.
Anytime you want.
Right. And if you jump in the middle, it'll come back around and you'll catch the full hour.
So it's a loop tape, basically. And if you go to the website, chances are you're not going to be hearing it from the beginning. You'll probably be jumping in the middle somewhere.
Right.
Just like radio.
Right, right.
Okay. It's just like radio. And, well, that's really a good concept. I hope it takes off. There are hundreds and hundreds of radio stations on there, and some are political, but many are not. Many are just music-oriented or talk, something like that. So what do you do for a day job, Eric?
Well, I'm an assistant engineer at GTN. We make commercials for television and radio.
So you're in the audio-video field. So you know what you're doing here. Right. Well, that's great that you took this on. And how did you get talked into doing this? Or was this something you volunteered?
Well, I volunteered / got drafted.
By your mother?
By my mother, right.
Who's been on this show several times.
Right. Karen Shelley, she ran for State Board of Education. I was her campaign director. I set up a small website that people could go to. And we could direct them to it, and they could see her point of view. And I'm hoping to do the same thing with Green Party Radio. If I have as much success with Green Party Radio as I did with my mother's campaign, where we got 50,000 votes, I would consider it a smashing success.
That's great. And is there a link from the Green Party of Michigan website to Green Party Radio, or is that in the process of being set up? Do you know? Because certainly there should be.
Yeah.
And I think it would bring in fact, all the Green Party sites could have a link to Green Party Radio.
Yeah, I don't know that there is because of the strange way that you have to navigate to the actual radio station itself. However, there is a satellite website, which is just a static web page that has a link to this radio station. It also has a link to Tom Tomorrow and Boondocks cartoons and to the Green Party Michigan website and the Green Party site itself, too.
And what is that website?
Well, again, it would be AOL.hometown/HTML. something.
Okay.
I could get it out over there. It doesn't have a catchy name. But if you were to write me an email at greenpartyradio@aol.com, that's the catchy one.
Right.
greenpartyradio@aol.com. You will be on the listeners list, and then I can send you a link, which is 3 letters long, GPR, you click that link and bang, you go there.
And perhaps updates as well once you're on the mailing list?
Exactly. When new things come up, if you want to volunteer to become a part of Green Party Radio, if you want to send along a song that you heard, or maybe your band is done that you want to have out there on the radio, greenpartyradio.aol.com. I'll give it a read, I'll give it a listen, and if I like it, I'll put it on the air.
Great. And there is a lot of independent music from Detroit.
Oh,
Detroit's always been well known for its music scene. And it's unfortunate that so many people, so many good bands and groups and individuals can't get airplay on the major stations. And I know that Tom Ness and the Jam Rag have been pushing independent radio for a long time, low-power radio. And maybe this is, if we can't get it through the Congress, maybe the Internet will have leapfrogged that, and we won't need low-power radio so much anymore, although not everybody has Internet access. But
well, I think that's a good point, that the odds of Congress suddenly waking up one morning and saying, you know, we need to have more small, low-power radio stations that really generate no money for anybody at all.
Right.
You know, those guys have been donating millions of dollars to me. I'm going to tell them to buzz off.
Well,
hey, guys, let's have a vote.
Erik Shelley for Congress. I think you do a fine job in Congress.
Think that's likely.
And Erik, I wanted to ask you, what about some of these In the Green shows, some of the more interesting ones? Would it be possible to distill them to put that on? For example, this interview we're doing today, could we put that on Green Party Radio?
Absolutely. I don't see why not.
If we gave it to you in an MP3 format.
Or if you gave it to me in a cassette format. Like I said,
then you'd have to convert it to the MP3.
I have the technology, yes, to convert it. So if you are up in the Upper Peninsula and the UP, and all you have is your kerosene-powered tape recorder, don't be afraid. You can still.
You haven't been up there.
You can still get the cassette recording. Tell me which parts are good. Mail it down to me. You know, postal mail.
Right.
And then I can convert it into an MP3 and edit it and put it on the air.
But basically, you can work with any format.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I think so.
CD or tape.
Right.
Great. Okay.
Really, what I'm hoping is that, yes, it will pass along word of mouth, because one of the easiest things to do is to click on something, right-click on something, and it says send a hyperlink, right? And you can drop that in an email. And even though the actual address, which is what, like 365.300.569.html, something like that, you can just call it whatever you want, and then send it to a friend, and then simply by word of mouth, without them memorizing the number or anything, when they click on it, bang, they go there.
Right.
So then that can be passed on from person to person to person. And once someone has the link, they're not going to lose it.
Right,
so
absolutely.
the audience will grow and grow and grow.
Now, I know you're not interested in producing or putting out commercial music necessarily, but are there copyright issues involved in Internet radio? Have you looked into that at all?
Part of the fee for being on Live 365 pays the royalties for.
Part of that $5?
Part of that $5, right? Wow. Well, it's divided up, 300,000 ways.
Right.
And yeah, that covers the royalties. The only rule is that you cannot broadcast the same artist more than 3 times in an hour. That way, I can't just put on a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album and then walk away, and then you can download the entire album. Is what they're trying to prevent.
You can't play the whole album 3 times in an hour. You can just play 3 different songs.
You can't play. Yeah, you can only play the first 3 songs, and you got to switch over to Led Zeppelin or something.
That's very interesting. And I imagine as that grows and there is more usage, that the companies that get the royalties are going to want higher fees. Maybe we'd like to see that much competition where they start to get take notice of.
I think this is probably not their biggest concern. What they're really concerned with is file sharing programs, Napster and that sort of thing. Which is
and I imagine a lot of what you'll be doing is original music that local artists have written.
Right.
There are a lot of new anti-war songs, and people are not hearing them on commercial radio clearly at all.
Well, with President George Bush Jr., there's no shortage of material to work with.
Absolutely. On that note, Erik, we're going to have to wrap this up. I'm Matthew Abel. I'm here with Mr. Erik Shelley, who is the producer, I believe, of Live 365 Green Party Radio. And thank you again, Erik, for coming on the show. It's been our pleasure. And you can find him on the web at greenpartyradio live365.com.
a piece of paper.
This court certainly held the county board.
Hi, my name is Kelly Lynch. I'm an actor and a voter. I'm not here to pitch you on which single candidate you should vote for, but how you can vote for as many candidates on the ballot as you choose. Sound interesting? Please take a few minutes to consider something called instant runoff voting, a voting system that will make your vote count for more than it does today. Thomas Jefferson once expressed a hope that the United States would be a laboratory for democracy. However, it's too easy to become a museum for democracy, hanging on to old election rules even when there are newer or better methods of voting. Most of the time, we still elect people using the old plurality system. Whoever gets the most votes wins. But this system has some real problems. First, it can be really unfair. When more than two candidates run, winning doesn't require getting a majority of votes, only a plurality, often less than an outright majority. In fact, many elections in the United States for governor, the Congress, state legislatures, city councils, even the last two presidential races have been won with a plurality, but not a majority. That means that the majority of the electorate actually voted for someone other than the winner. The second problem with plurality elections is cost. To avoid simple plurality winners, many elections use primaries, or two-round runoff elections. Voters get a second chance to choose between the top two vote-getters, finally ensuring a majority winner. But holding two elections, often months apart, is expensive for the taxpayers funding the runoff election, and for candidates who must raise even more money for additional campaigning. What's more, many voters don't turn out for the runoff, which undercuts the whole purpose of holding it in the first place, ensuring majority rule. A third problem is that plurality voting causes difficulties for many underdog candidates as they get tagged as vote splitters or spoilers, even when they offer valid and attractive choices to voters. Instant runoff voting, or IRV, is a sensible, fair alternative to the old method. With IRV, instead of just picking one candidate, voters have the option of ranking as many candidates as they want. By allowing each voter to rank all the candidates according to their personal choice, IRV accomplishes the goal of a runoff in one election. In effect, an instant runoff. How does IRV work? Watch this short graphic illustration of how IRV would decide a hypothetical election. And I think you'll agree that instant runoff voting is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Preference voting. State-of-the-art democracy for a new century. Here is how preference voting works when electing a single winner. We have 15 voters and 4 candidates competing for one seat. Ballots are counted like a series of runoff elections. After counting first choices, candidate Washington has the most votes. Instead of just declaring Washington a winner, however, what if we were to ask the supporters of losing candidates who their next choice candidate is? We might discover that most voters actually prefer a candidate other than Washington. Preference voting allows voters to do just that, to indicate more than just their first choice. Here's a sample ballot. Voter Jane Doe has marked candidate Garcia as her first choice. Wong is her second choice, Washington her third choice, and Smith her fourth choice. After adding up all first-choice votes, candidate Smith is in last place with only 2 votes. So he is eliminated. But both voters who rank Smith first haven't wasted their votes. Instead, their votes are transferred to the next choice indicated on their ballots. One voter prefers Garcia as his second choice candidate. The other voter prefers Wong. After transferring these votes, there is still no candidate with a majority of votes. So now, the Liberal candidate Garcia has the fewest votes and is eliminated. It turns out that all of Garcia's voters prefer the remaining Liberal candidate Wong to the more conservative candidate Washington. Wong receives all 4 votes. He wins the election. Note how preference voting made a difference. Without transferring any votes, the conservative Washington would have won, because the majority of Liberal voters split their votes among 3 rival Liberal candidates. But with preference voting, voters express their true preferences without settling for the lesser of 2 evils or worrying that their candidate was a spoiler. Even though Washington won 6 first-choice votes, her conservative base of support was narrow. Most supporters of the other 2 candidates ranked the more liberal Wong ahead of Washington. Jane Doe, for example, ranked Garcia first and Wong second. After Garcia lost, Jane's vote helped give Wong a majority. Wong had more support than Washington among all voters and won the election, as is only fair. That's how we elect a single winner with preference voting.
So that's how instant runoff voting works. Besides being fair and cost-effective, IRV has other advantages. It will encourage positive campaigning because candidates are going to be courting second and third choice votes. IRV eliminates the concept of the spoiler, and most importantly, by actually adding value to an individual's ballot, IRV should increase voter interest. For these reasons, several states and cities are now debating legislation on instant runoff voting. To wrap up, IRV will give us winners with real majority support. It keeps costs down for taxpayers and candidates. It will improve the quality of campaigns and increase voter interest. And it's very user-friendly for voters. They simply rank their favorite candidates, something we do every day with sports teams, movies, or even flavors of ice cream. As easy as 1, 2, 3. For more information about instant runoff voting and to find out how you can improve our democracy, please contact the Center for Voting and Democracy. Thanks for watching.